So, if just not being overtly white supremacist or racist isn't going to be enough, and we have to become anti-racist, what does that mean? What do I mean when I say becoming anti-racist? Well, first, I think becoming anti-racist is just deconstructing your own myth story, your own origin story as a white person. Now, as a white person in a society that values pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps and hardy individualism, anyway, rugged. Oh yeah, we're rugged. We're rugged individualists, and we pull ourselves up with the bootstraps. That's our myth. And so every successful white person has a mythological origin story. And it's not entirely untrue for most people. For someone like, DJ T, who's like, yeah, you don't pull yourself up by your own bootstraps with $1 million. I mean, people who started small, lower middle class families. If you were born around my time and you're a white person, what you might not really be given much credit to is the skids were greased for us. So I grew up in Southern California in an upper middle class neighborhood. My dad was a Marine in the military, and the housing just happened to be the officers' housing was plopped in the middle of Pacific Beach, California. So it's pretty nice. So I went to an upper middle class high school, even though my own family was not wealthy. And right across the street from my high school was a free clinic, literally. And it wasn't like, there was no shame in just walking over there and getting your birth control pills in the 70s. Not at all. Right across the street from my high school. Publicly funded. No charge. I have a friend, a black friend of mine, who, God, that sounds so bad. Anyway, I know a black woman who grew up in a different part of the country. And when she was raped, she had that baby when she was 16. Because there was no free clinic. All there was the Bible. Now, we were churchgoers. All of us were in the 70s pretty much, had some church we were affiliated with in some degree. But it wasn't an issue. And already for her, it was. So it's easy for me to say, well, I went to nursing school. I did all these things in my life, and I did do those things, and I earned my own money. But I didn't carry a baby around with me because I was in a society that made sure that young white girls like me had options. And because that was kind of the mindset of the day, to give us a chance to be successful. And so just in these small, well, that's not a small way, right? Having access to free birth control right across the fucking street from my high school in this was an upper middle class part of Pacific Beach, Mission Bay High School in the 70s versus some black woman, girl in a high school in Oklahoma. And so right away, I started so far down the avenue than she did. And so when we're both working together and she's a nurse with me, and I know how much fucking harder she worked than me to get where she is, because of the system that benefited me every step of the way, in every way, and hobbled her from birth. And, so when I started really looking at my own origin story, and not that it diminishes the accomplishments I did. Plenty of people didn't go to nursing school, right? They just made a waste of their lives, even with all their privileges. But if I buy too much into my own origin story, that is a root of white supremacy that our society puts in us. We look around and we see so many successful like us, and we see, oh my gosh, well, they weren't. And we fail to see all the myriad of ways that the skids were greased for us and not for them. So before thinking about how I'm going to fix them, let's start looking at ourselves. and thinking about the ways we've benefited from white supremacy and maybe the ways we're not really willing to sacrifice it. We should know those weaknesses. We should start looking at them within ourselves. Thanks.